Front and Center. Front and Center. A focus on important and significant developments affecting the lives of Filipinos, not only in the Philippines, but also those living and working around the world. Join us in Front and Center. Front and Center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Good morning to all of our listeners here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Welcome to another edition of Front and Center, where we put very significant issues affecting our country, the Philippines, as our program title says, Front and Center. On behalf of our colleague Jerome Toledo, I'm your host for today, Steph Vicente, joining you all for a 30-minute worth of talk discussing important matters with our government officials, people from the private sector, or even members of the academe. As seen through our video live streaming, you may watch and listen to Front and Center through our Facebook page. Just search Radyo Pilipinas World Service. The same goes for our YouTube channel. Meanwhile, we also have an audio live streaming thanks to the Evox PBS receiver app. You may download the said mobile application via Google Play Store if you are using an Android phone, or via App Store if you are using an iPhone. We are also back on shortwave radio starting last December. Front and Center is part of our English service, which airs from 10 o'clock to 11:30 in the morning. That's Philippine Standard Time. You may listen to us via the following shortwave frequencies: 12.020 MHz, 15.640 MHz, and 17.665 MHz. For the first part of today's edition of Front and Center, we are going to talk about the statement made by Malacanang saying that it's too early to form political alliances like the Uniteam, which was then led by Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. and Vice President Sara Duterte during the 2022 national and local elections. The statement was issued after former Senator Antonio Trillanes IV suggested that Marcos loyalists forge a coalition with the so-called kakampings of former Vice President Maria Leonor Leni Robredo to defeat the Dutertes in the year 2028. In a press briefing, Communications Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Attorney Claire Castro said the matter has not been brought to the attention of the President. In order for us to have a deeper understanding about possible political alliances leading to the 2028 elections, we are now joined by political analyst Attorney Ed Chico. Attorney Chico, welcome to Front and Center. This is Steph Vicente again of Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Good morning, Steph, and good morning to your listeners and even to those people who are seeing you online through
Thank
live
you.
streaming.
Thank you as well, Attorney Chico, for joining us here in the program. So, Attorney Chico, the Palace says it's too early to talk about forming a new alliance similar to the Uniteam. From your point of view, why are these political ideas already coming out now?
Well, to begin with, 2028 is just around the corner, so more or less, you know who the front runners are, and more or less, you know who would actually run or gun for the presidency in 2028. So it makes sense why people are calling for, creation of coalitions or even alliances in order for them to be able to guarantee their victory in the next presidential election. So that is expected, and that has always been the case. You have to understand that anything is possible right now, and coalitions are also possible because we really have a very weak party system. So people can always shift their allegiance or even loyalty. They're very ambivalent about loyalty, and they can always team up with anyone for the purpose of fielding a candidate in 2028.
Mm-mm. And as I have mentioned just earlier, former Senator Trillanes floated the idea of Marcos allies teaming up with the Kakampinks. When you heard this, what was your first reaction?
Well, it's not something that's not possible because, as I said, everything is possible here. Since we have a weak party system, so there are no permanent friends or enemies. So we understand that during the last elections, the unity team was actually between the president and the vice president. But with the breakup of the unity team, it makes sense why Trillanes, for example, we would explore the possibility of a kakamping BBM coalition because that is, I guess, the best way they could stand a chance against the vice president, who obviously, at least based on the surveys that have been conducted, is the front runner for the next elections.
Mm. And given the history between the President Marcos and former Vice President Leni Robredo, given that they have clashed already in two elections. One is for the Vice President position, and one is for the actual position of being the president. Um, do you think a Marcos Robredo linked alliance is even possible?
Well, as I said, anything is possible in this country, no? Kasi nga, we have a weak party system. In the US, for example, either you are a Republican or a Democrat, and that would always be the case. For example, if you are a candidate for the Democrats and then you stand you stand by the party and you basically pursue the principles for which the party stands, and that would always be the case in the Philippines. Since we do not have that, a coalitions can always be formed anytime between any group of people. And as I said, there are no permanent friends or enemies here. So is it possible? Yes, if that's the only way, for example, that they could guarantee that their next candidate would win, so they'd be willing to go through it. Remember, the unit team supposedly should not be possible, but it was made possible precisely because that was the only opportunity they could actually guarantee a victory. Remember, before the unit team was formed, there was a survey that was done. If I'm not mistaken, Robredo got 25%, BBM got 24 or also 25, and same with Sara Duterte. But when they decided to team up, then it was it was when they decided to team up, they already knew that they had it in the bag.
Mm. Mm. And now, Malacanang says the president hasn't been told about this idea and isn't taking a position yet. What does that tell us? That statement from Malacanang, is this kind of no comment a way of keeping options open?
Um, I really don't know, but that's the way you do it. You do not want to make statements outright, precisely because you really have to weigh your options. So if you ask me, the president is taking a step in the right direction by making and not making any comment now, because I'm pretty sure he would review his options. I'm pretty sure he would weigh the pros and cons of this proposal, and at the end of the day, he would meticulously scrutinize all the factors involved here before he makes a decision. I guess he's doing the right thing.
Mm.
And besides, I'm not really so sure whether or not that coalition is already formed. I'm pretty sure it's just a proposal which the president would have to consider at some point.
Mm-mm. And if a coalition like this happen, how big of a shakeup would it be in Philippine politics?
Well, that would be very very critical, because you have to understand, diba, the kakampings, you're talking about 25% of the voting population, because when Lenny ran, she more or less had that percentage, and you're also talking about people who support the Marcoses. So if you combine them together, then that would be a good formula. That basically what happened in 2022, right?
Hmm.
When Uniteam was formed, it was a really a landslide victory on the part of the president. Remember, before the Uniteam, as I said, he only got 25%. But after the Uniteam was formed, a month before the election, when the survey was done, he garnered about 60%, which would presuppose that it's already a done deal that he would be the next president. So if they would form a coalition now, it is with the end in view of making sure that the standard bearer, whoever that be, would have a chance in snagging or getting the presidency in 2028.
Mm-mm. And as we have been discussing earlier, a lot of this talk seems to be about stopping the Dutertes in 2028. How strong really is that factor in shaping alliances?
Uh, I mean, it's a given that Duterte is a that the Dutertes are a force to reckon with, and in fact, despite all the negative propaganda, despite all the negative narratives that have been peddled against the vice president, she remains a front runner because the Dutertes would always have somewhere between 30 to 35 would enjoy at least the support of at least, I would assume, between 30 and 35% of the voting public.
Mm.
So in order to defeat them, it makes sense to form a coalition. Probably that is the best way they can actually do it. And the president is not obligated to stick with Sarah because there was already a breakup. So the president can do whatever he wants to do, and there's really nothing wrong with that. And as I said, I mean, coalitions are part and parcel of our political system. That basically characterizes our political landscape to begin with.
Mm. And then Malacanang says it's too early to talk about alliances. Other people might say that it is also too early as well. But when does alliance building usually start to matter in Philippine elections?
Filipinos are actually very reactive. So we do not have deep understanding of issues. We are driven by our emotions. So what does that mean? You can do anything, anytime, and depending on how you get that across, or depending on how you articulate that, the public can actually readily, can potentially put their trust on you. So the coalitions may be formed now, it may be formed later. The question is whether or not such formation would somehow trigger shift in allegiance or loyalty.
Hmm.
That's the critical factor there. But if they form it now, it doesn't matter. If they form it later, that would be good too.
Hmm. And are these early talks just trial balloons or they signal something bigger?
Well, of course, I really don't know because, from the very get-go, it's always been Senator Trillanes who's been very, very adamant and aggressive about it. And, some people are actually, they've been chiming in, but at the end of the day, it has always been him. So I really don't know whether or not the president is taking it seriously or whether or not the president has already begun talks with them for the for the potential formation of or creation of this coalition or alliance. But at the end of the day, I would assume Trillanes would really push for this, and I would assume that at some point, the president would make his decision on this, and because he has to,
Hmm.
because he knows how critical everything would be when 2028 arrives.
Mm-mm. And now, just for our final question, should the public take this idea seriously now, or is it still more talk than action?
Well, I think there's a lot of things that they still need to do to make this possible. But at the end of the day, this is something that we cannot ignore. This is a something that potentially could happen, considering that Vice President Sara Duterte remains a front runner. If she would not get impeached, then she would not be perpetually disqualified to run for office. Then it presupposes she might be the next president. And for those people who do not want that to happen, or for those politicians, for example, who have candidates whom they hope would win, then entering into coalitions or alliances is something that they could always explore. On the part of the president, as I said, he's handling this quite well. I mean, knowing the president, he wouldn't really make reckless statements one after the other. He's someone who always calculates. He's someone who always scrutinizes. He's someone who always evaluates first before he makes a statement. So I really don't know whether or not they would push through with this, but I would not be surprised if they would.
And with that, thank you very much, Attorney Chico, for giving us your insights on this topic. Until next time, mabuhay po kayo.
Salamat din po. Sa ulitin.
And we were just joined by political analyst Attorney Ed Chico here in the program Front and Center. Stay tuned because we are going to be joined by the Bureau of Immigration or BI after a few reminders from our station.
Mga kababayan, si Ding Dong po ito. Alam niyo bang mataas ang tsansang magkasunog pagkatapos ng malakas na lindol? Kaya naman pagligtas ng bumalik sa loob ng bahay o building, i-check agad ang mga kawad ng kuryente. Kung may nakitang sira, patayin ka agad ang main switch. At ang pinaka-importante, i-report ito sa otoridad. Huwag mo nang i-DIY yan, ha? Naku, baka mas malaking problema pa ang sumabog. Tandaan, i-check ang sira, patayin ang main switch, i-report sa otoridad. #panatag ang may alam.
Maging panatag Pilipinas.
Front and Center. Front and Center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
And now we're back here in Front and Center. As mentioned, we are going to be joined by the Bureau of Immigration or BI as we are going to discuss the agency's response to some claims made by Russian content creator Vitaly Zadorovetsky. It could be recalled that the said content creator was arrested by local authorities after filming himself pranking Filipinos, including mocking security guards and engaging in inappropriate physical interactions. Zadorovetsky was recently deported to Russia and tagged as an undesirable alien. But as I have mentioned earlier, he made some claims about his stay in detention. To more about BI's response to those claims, we are now joined by Immigration Deputy Spokesperson Melvin Mabulak. Mr. Mabulak, welcome to Front and Center. This is Steph Vicente of Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Hello, Steph. Hello, everyone. Hello, those who are televiewers and all those following your program. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning too, and thank you so much for joining us here in the program. So, sir, what prompted the Bureau of Immigration to respond to the online statements made by deported foreign national Vitaly Zadorovetsky?
Yes, Steph. No, that's a very that's now being we can view that in the online and the social media. But basically, these are feedback, regardless if it is negative or positive. A step. This is essential for the immigration for the bureau to grow. Even online accusation may be intended to undermine our progress, but we treat them not negatively, but these are opportunities to identify the gaps. We need to strengthen the system, and we need to improve as well our office and other services, including, of course, our facility, because we do have two facilities. We do have the Bicutan Detention Facility, and we do have as well in Muntinlupa. And those feedback, the blog of Sordovitsky could help us as well to make some opportunities for us to improve, particularly in our continuous improvement and for the improvement of our facility, including as well for the public trust of the Filipino people.
Hmm. And how does the Bureau of Immigration assess and verify claims like those of Zadorovetsky, especially when they come from a deported individual and undesirable alien like him?
Yes, Step, we have to understand that who really is Dorvitsky? You have to understand why he was detained, why he was deported. Dorvitsky is a Russian, a foreign blogger whose identity and claims were we carefully assessed and verified through our official records. We have to understand that Step, Dorvitsky was detained because of his disrespectful actions, what he did in BGC, hindi katanggap-tanggap in the culture and the Filipino culture. And we have to understand that he is, regardless of what he's doing now, he's still a vlogger.
Hmm.
He is portraying detention condition as actually part of his objective of having more views. But we are, as has been said, we are looking at that as an opportunity for us to improve. But for his detention and his deportation, it was a lawful act of the government because he is an undesirable alien. Ang nangyayari kasi he is now becoming a hero. But we have to understand as well, ano ba yung intention niya? What is his intention? His primary intention is to have more viewers so that he could earn more.
Hmm.
And before he came here, what he did in BGC in the Philippines is actually the intention was a race bait so that he could able to have more followers. And basically, the action done by the Philippine immigration, the Philippine government in deporting him stays because it was legal, it was legal and genuine act of the government to ensure that no foreign national who are undesirable that will be staying in the Philippines.
Mm. And as you have mentioned already, the facilities in Bikutan and in Muntinlupa, inspections were being ordered at those facilities. What did these inspections uncover?
Yes, yes, that's true, Step. No, we did internal review of the protocols as well, and we included as I've said, you mentioned earlier that we have had an inspection and enforcement operation and conducted in Be Warden facility in Taguig and in Muntinlupa. Our personnel in the bureau, we strictly enforce no contraband policy and prohibits unauthorized use of gadgets. We do not allow that, and ensuring discipline, security, and full compliance with the institutional standards. You have to understand as well, Step,
Mm.
that the immigration, it is a detention center. It is primarily for the foreign national to wait for their final decision for the deportation because the penalty for the Bureau of Immigration Step is not actually imprisonment. It is deportation. They are only there. They should not be considered as a jail, no?
Yes.
That's why we also ensure that the standards that we employ in the detention center is actually humane at the same time compliant to the international law.
Hmm. And just for the information of our listeners, how common is contraband confiscation during routine or special inspections in the detention facilities of the Bureau of Immigration?
We basically were able to see some contrabands, no, and usually what we're able to retrieve are those gadgets, your mobile phone, which basically we allow them to use gadgets, the mobile phone only in a particular time. However, for now, we see that's being abused. There are actions to be done by the office Those are the things that we're able to retrieve, and mostly it really happens. But we've never able to see any illegal drugs or any more on the contrabands on the mobile phones. Some they do have cash, which basically prohibited having cash while you are on the detention, and those are the things that we're able to retrieve during the inspection step.
And how does the Bureau of Immigration ensure that its personnel strictly follow detention and security protocols, given that there were already or there were claims made by this deported foreign national?
Yes, that's true, Step. No, there are accusations, but we should never take it as hook, line, sinker that everything what he says is actually true. No, but
Yes.
what we have to ensure that the Bureau of Immigration is reminding and ensuring the public that we adhere strict adherence to detention and security protocol through continuous. We train our people. We do have regular audits which they are following, no, and people who could be liable for failure to implement those strict SOP are accountable. And if you have heard, we have had 3 person before. We have 3 person. They were actually sacked from the service, but presently we've accepted the chief of the detention center who submitted his resignation, including his 2 other personnel. And those are the things we have to ensure that the discipline, the standard is being observed. That's why we do have regular inspection, and the commissioner was actually ensured that conducted the special inspection and directed personnel in the detention facility that they have to adhere the strict compliance with the SOP and the standards of the facility. Step.
And now, how does the Bureau of Immigration balance strict security with maintaining humane conditions for the detainees?
We have to understand Step, that the BI strictly follows the Philippine Immigration Act of 1940 and established protocols. We do have existing protocols. Detainees, they do have the rights. They do have the basic needs and welfares are respected as well. Even the visits of their lawyers, even from their embassies, they are given opportunity to visit their nationals who are at the detention at the facility. At the same time, we are in close coordination as well with the Commission on Human Rights. If we do have cases that even we do have cooperation wherein the personnel from the Commission on Human Rights also visits the facility that we do have to ensure that we are compliant with the humane treatment as well of the detainees. You have to understand. I was able to watch the vlog of Derobitsky, wherein he is claiming that the food, you have to understand that the regular food that we serve, these are the food that we do have in the Philippines, having the eggs at the same time. Even the temperature of the facility, you have to understand you are in the Philippines and it's a Russian, and that's the normal complaint when it comes to the heat and to the temperature, wherein he is complaining and on the blog. Step.
And in light of this incident, what steps is or are the Bureau is taking to further strengthen internal controls?
Yes, that's true. We really have this, as I told you, this is an opportunity for the Bureau of Immigration to look at what are the needs to be improved, and the Bureau is reviewing and strengthening the internal controls. We do conduct as well the targeted audits and enhancing staff uh, training to address gaps and ensure accountability. The what's very important step here is the accountability of the people, and we have to ensure that we uphold the high standard of service and security in our facility. Step.
As much as I would like to expand this discussion, but we're running out of material time. This would be my final question. What message would you like to send to the public regarding transparency, accountability, and integrity within the Bureau of Immigration? Go ahead.
Uh, yes, thank you for this opportunity, Step. Now, the Bureau of Immigration would like to communicate, to extend to the public that we are remain committed to transparency, the accountability, and the integrity in all our operations. Regarding the recent Sorodovitsky blog, the BI emphasizes that all detentions and processes are conducted strictly according to the Philippine laws. Public scrutiny is welcome and strengthen our duty to uphold the lawful procedures while ensuring that we are fair, we are professional and impartial treatment to every individual and other jurisdiction. The Bureau of Immigration welcomes any investigation to be conducted, but we ensure the public that we are doing our best to ensure that we comply with the standards. Step.
And with that, thank you very much, Mr. Mabulak, for joining us here in Front and Center. Until next time, and mabuhay po kayo.
Thank you, Steph. Mabuhay po kayo.
And we were just joined by Immigration Deputy Spokesperson Melvin Mabulak. At this point, we'll be ending today's edition of Front and Center. We would like to thank first our technical team composed of Milo Jonella, Susan Yuson, Hiro Lucero, and Justine Osias, who made this program possible. Thank you as well to our station manager, Mr. Ray Sampang. Until the next episode of our program, on behalf of Jerome Toledo, this has been your host for today, Steph Vicente. Good day and stay safe, everyone.
You have just heard and watched Front and Center. Front and Center. Join us again for another edition here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Front and Center.